Hello and welcome on behalf of the Rancho Bernardo High School counseling team. This tutorial is meant to inform you of how the 4x4 works at RB and the course request selection process. Here's a sample schedule of the 4x4, very simply put. In the fall, you have the option now to take 4 courses, and in the spring, you also have the option to take 4 courses. That means that within a given school year, you could take up to 8 courses, different than our current schedule where you can take 6. Here's a couple terms that you might want to become familiar with as we move into the 4x4. First of all, an academic school year runs from August to June. A term simply runs half of the school year. Term 1 runs from August to mid-January. Term 2 runs from mid-January to the end of the school year in June. Quarters are basically a half of a term. As you can see, quarter 1 and 2 fall into term 1. Quarter 3 and 4 fall into term 2. There are 4 quarters in a year. Within each quarter, you have the opportunity to earn 5 credits. That means that in a given school year, if you were taking 4 classes in the spring and in the fall for each term, you would have the opportunity to earn a maximum of 80 credits in a single school year. So that kind of leads us to the question of off-roll. What is off-roll? Off-roll is a period of time in the day where you don't have a class. Because you can earn so many credits within a given school year, many students will choose to take an off-roll one or both terms. Students can choose to take 1 off-roll each term for all grade levels. Seniors have the opportunity to take up to 2 off-rolls if all the graduation requirements are met. Students who are in athletics or who have lots of extracurricular activities are really encouraged to take an off-roll, and specifically 4th period if you know that you have sports and games in the afternoon that might cause you to leave school early. And they ensure basically that you don't end up missing classes because we want to set you up for success. Off-roll is also really important because we want you to really maintain that balance. We want you to consider the fact that currently you're taking 6 classes. So if you were to take 2 extra classes, that would significantly increase the amount of homework and the course load that you have. So that's something to consider if you're deciding whether you should take off-roll or not. Here's a sample 10th grade schedule on the 4x4. In this schedule, we put some basic courses on here, and all of the courses listed here are what we call term-long courses. Notice, for example, on period 1 here that this student has Honors Humanity 1, Honors Humanity 2. They will complete that entire course in 1 term, unlike our normal schedule where it would take a full year. Here's a different sample schedule for a 10th grader. And on this sample schedule, notice that we have worked in, for period 3 here, we put in a year-long course. Some courses such as AVID, BAND, many of our AP courses are year-long courses. In other words, they're linked to another course, and they will take up a slot in both term 1 and term 2 and span across the whole year. You still will earn 5 credits per quarter or 20 credits total for a year-long class. Here's another example, just so you get a little picture of what this looks like for someone who's in band and how a year-long class works in this situation. Here's an example of a schedule of someone taking an off-roll. In this case, the student chose to take off-roll term 1 and term 2. They still have 6 classes, so if the student decided to do this every year, they still could graduate on time, assuming that they are not credit deficient and that they are on track for graduation. You also have the option to take an off-roll 1 term and not the other term. For example, maybe you have a sport in the fall, but you would really like to take an elective or something in the spring, and you can also do that on our schedule. So, how do I know which courses are 1 term long, in other words, a half year, or 2 terms long, a full? If you refer to your course request form, you'll see that year-long courses are boxed and shaded, and they should have 4 course numbers, whereas a term-long class is not shaded and boxed and only has 2 course numbers. So that's how you're able to tell the difference between the two. So how do I sign up for classes? Well, as you know, you should have all of your papers that are submitted in your English class. If you're absent on the day that the counselors come out to the classes, please see your English teacher for the paperwork. On your course request forms, you can see here that I've checked off on this little sample here. I've put check marks next to classes that I'd like to select. And if you notice on here, there's 4 checked boxes. You would continue this process of checking boxes until you've selected 8 courses. That is also including off-roll. You would still need to select which off-rolls you'd like, even if you decide you're only going to take 6 or 7 classes. So you will need to check 8 boxes total on your course request form. Make sure that you're selecting some of the mandatory courses such as social science and English, math, an elective, PE. Make sure that you're meeting the graduation requirements. We'll also be asking you to number 3 alternates for electives in PE. We would really like to make sure that you get the classes you want. Although we try our best to try to put you into your first choice elective, sometimes the course fills up, and so we have to shift the schedule around, and we might need to give you a different elective. And we're really not good guessers, so we'd love to be able to have the option to know what your first, second, and third choice would be. Here's a list of the graduation and college requirements. As you select courses, keep in mind what courses you need to graduate and earn acceptance to a 4-year school if that is your goal. Although your counselors will help you to understand these requirements, we also have resources posted on the Rancho Bernardo High School webpage under counseling. Please take a look and review the graduation requirements as well as college requirements. So, how do you thrive and not merely survive in the 4x4? Well, one thing to think about is that right now you currently have 6 classes. Well, imagine if you had a 7th or an 8th period right now. That's what it would be like on the 4x4 and also at a faster pace. So we really want you to work hard, and we want you to challenge yourself, but we also want you to work smart. We want to remind you that a full load is 6 classes, so please be cautious of taking 8 classes. We want you to consider your life outside of school. What types of activities do you have going on? Do you have family commitments? We want you to think about those things, keep your strengths in mind, and make sure that you have time to take care of your health and your well-being. There are still the same number of hours in a day next year, so keep that in mind as you plan out your schedule so that you can set yourself up for success. We also want to remind you about next year. Just consider not planning vacations during the school year. Missing days in the 4x4 can be a little bit more difficult than our current schedule, since you might be missing 2 times the amount of curriculum. We also want to remind you that there is a post-high school option for you. You just need to explore all of them, not just the popular ones. So please rely on your teachers, your counselors for help. Talk to your parents so that you can pick the classes that really speak to your strengths and who you are. So just wrapping up the process of picking your courses, you will need a parent and student signature on the CRF. You'll need to consult with your teachers and get their initials to help you determine whether you're selecting the right courses. You'll need to input your courses, and you'll be able to find those directions on the RBH webpage. You'll need to input those courses prior to meeting with your counselors, and you'll be doing that online. You'll also need to complete the Naviance assignment and submit it with the course request form to your English teacher on the date that they give you. If you're taking an AP course, please make sure that you print the waiver off of the RBHS counseling page and make sure that it's signed by your parent. And then you'll need to make sure that on the day that your English class goes to meet with your counselor that you're present so you could sit down and have a discussion about the courses that you selected. So remember, if you need help, counselors are in their offices before school, after school, and at lunch. The course request window opens on March 2nd. We wish you the best, and remember that we're here to help guide you through this process.